so-called legal fees. Marriage is a Commonwealth issue, Section 51, and the Bible laws, especially in Mark chapter 10, all of it, are the guidelines. In fact, if any section of me is to be interpreted, then the Bible laws prevail, as stated in my preamble. To ensure safety, we all drive on the left-hand side of the road. Likewise, in our society, we all abide by Christian principles. When you're asked to swear on the Bible, not on any other document, it means that you and the judge and everyone in the courtroom accepts that the Bible laws are supreme, even above me, because my rules are derived from the laws in the Bible. For example, there were 12 disciples, and 12 has been the number of jury persons selected by Christian societies to be, in effect, judges plural with a small j. That is the word in my section 79, which has court in a lowercase c and judges plural with a lowercase j. This is most important. Small c court is simply a hearing, and no judgments nor orders can be made there without your consent. Small j judges plural is a jury. A judge is not a justice without a jury decision. If you face a judge who went to law school later than 1975, you may need to inform him that there have been no referendums to tamper with Section 79 or 80 or 109. If he disregards your legal right to trial by jury or attempts to dismiss your case, you must challenge the jurisdiction of that court and demand a proper jury of 12. Any order by a single judge, magistrate, registrar or anyone without your consent is invalid and also carries severe penalties against them, as listed in the Crimes Act, Section 43, for obstructing the course of justice. Judges and solicitors are deadly afraid of juries and will stop at nothing to keep them out of the courts, even threats of ridiculous fees. And if that doesn't frighten you, they've used force and harassment, off the record of course. What used to be the police service has become the armed police force. However, you are bound to obey orders by a proper policeman, and if his actions are proven to be incorrect in a legal court, then the rule of law will prevail. There are many good police officers who have taken the oath of allegiance. It's at the end of the Constitution on this CD, and they do act morally and responsibly, but they fear the sack and their super if they don't conform and obey orders, legal or otherwise. Nevertheless, one of the results of the Nuremberg trials is now adopted worldwide. It states that even if you're obeying orders to commit a crime, you are personally guilty of that crime. The judiciary will try to confuse you in legalese language. Some will rant and rave at you, some may ignore you and even attempt to order you to leave the court. But take no notice. Stand up to them and know your constitutional rights. Remind them that the court does not belong to a single judge. It is your court, the People's Court, and has been since 1215. When you go to court, do not go alone. Take a group of friends to witness the proceedings. It is a public court. They have every right to be there. Sections 79, 80 and 109 are most important. Learn them off by heart. 2,000 years ago, the wisest teacher in history challenged the evil judges and lawyers face to face in Luke chapter 11, verses 46 and 52 in your New Testament. Look it up. But their descendants are with us today in every nation. They have not changed their nature nor their plans, only their appearance. Listen to me, my people. I am the rule of law. But those who Jesus rebuked on several occasions seek the rule of men. That means ultimately Republican dictatorship. Now you say that USA is a republic. Yes, it is. But what has prevented it becoming a dictatorship is they have the Second Amendment in their Constitution, the inalienable right to bear arms. No dictator can successfully take over a nation while the people are armed. Did you know that in Switzerland and some American counties, you can be fined if you do not have a gun and ammunition in good working order in your home? Switzerland has little crime and no home invasions. In Australia, there are people promoting the idea of Australia to become a republic, but few, if any, have a clue what kind of republic they want. But they do have one thing in common. Their number one objective is to eliminate me, your Constitution. Why? Because that is exactly what has been done by every dictator in history. Step 1. Disarm the population. Step 2. Plunge the nation into impossible financial debt. Step 3. A republic. Step 4. A dictatorship, worse than any that has ever occurred in history. In 1990, Kim Beazley was asked a question in Parliament from Senator Button. Beazley replied, "The United Nations has given the federal government a mandate of ownership for housing, farms, property and business to government control, once the Republic has been proclaimed." So there you have it, the real purpose behind the push for a republic, which will become the worst dictatorship in history. Why? Because of today's money power. Over history, money has been in many forms. Gold and silver, cattle, coconuts, and even rum in the early days here. Money is a far superior system to barter, and there's nothing wrong with lending to invest in a productive profit-sharing venture. But to charge interest on created money is the root cause of all economic problems. How ludicrous it would be if a railway organisation employed a printer to print their tickets, and the printer says,
"Because I created these tickets, I own them, and I will lend them to you at face value plus interest."
You say, how ridiculous. But that is exactly the way it is today with the money system. Have you ever heard of a train not running because they didn't print enough tickets? Of course not. But that's just as stupid as saying you can't build roads or schools or whatever we need because we lack the money. We have the materials, the man and machine power and the skills to make it happen. So how can you say there's not enough money when in reality money is nothing more than a sophisticated ticket system? Today, the money or ticket system is 95% computer blips and only 5% notes and coins. It is created and controlled exclusively by the banks. It is the system which causes your problems, the mathematics. If the interest rate is 5% on a $100 loan of new money, then 100 plus nothing does not equal 105, which is the amount the banks demand you pay back. The extra 5 is not created, so the nation as a whole can never get out of debt to the banks. It must keep borrowing more to continue. Mayor Amschel Rothschild was from a family of goldsmith moneylenders and said,
"Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws."
So how did the Rothschilds and others become so wealthy? Around 1690, the English King William needed money for a war with France, so he borrowed £1.2 million, a staggering amount, from the goldsmith moneylenders. Their reward? He granted them a charter for the Bank of England in 1694, which made it legal for them to charge him 8% interest. This was the beginning of the modern privately owned banking system. It has taken them only a few hundred years to become the only source of money, and your slave masters. Did you know that the Reserve Bank is not a government operation? It became independent in 1960. It creates money out of nothing. But that is not the problem, as you'll see. The problem is the Reserve Bank is just like the printer for the railway tickets. It pretends it owns that new money and lends it to your government with interest on top and takes a mortgage over your taxes. Now you know where a large chunk of your taxes go. Ask yourself or anyone who should know, politician, financial advisor, bank manager, hairdresser or cab driver, they know everything. Ask them. If every nation is in debt, who is the creditor? You'll be dismayed at the answers. Did you know that under my section 51, 4, 12 and 13, your Prime Minister and your Parliament have the duty and the legal power to solve the so-called money crisis in only a few weeks with no interest and no debt? Governments and governments alone, not the banks, have the legitimate power to issue the nation's money or credit to represent the real wealth of the nation. The Nullarbor Railway was built under the rules of Section 51. No interest, no debt. You may ask, if it's as simple as that, why isn't it being done now by either side of politics? Why? Because many rich people and the judiciary benefit from the existing system. They don't want it changed. Did you know that cost orders in today's courts are the greatest fraud ever perpetrated upon you, my unsuspecting people? It's a huge extortion racket. In 1640, habeas